All right, welcome to another episode of Autodidactica with me, Glenn Clark.
And me, Matt Paul,
Yes, that's us. We are your hosts, for better or worse.
for better
Uh,
or worse.
and let's see. Last week we talked about
Aliens.
extraterrestrial aliens, your favorite topic.
Uh,
This week we're talking about cancel culture, which is, a little bit different than aliens. Maybe. I don't know. Aliens might come to our planet just to cancel us,
uh,
to cancel
uh,
all of
Stephen
us.
Hawking would agree with that.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And we talked about all of that last week. Not in those terms necessarily, but if y'all want to check that out, it's up there, it's out there. Um Listen to us talk. We do. That's the whole reason we do this show. We like to hear ourselves talk pretty
Absolutely.
much. And we wanted to share that with y'all. It's like we like hearing ourselves talk. Maybe some other people will too.
A bunch of weirdos, if you ask me.
Bunch of weirdos. But before we get into it, what's new with you? What's going on in your life?
I've been getting tattooed like a madman.
Oh, okay.
So I have two healing tattoos now, and I am in a constant state of agony.
True, true. You're crazy. I took a picture. I just remembered of that one you got on your arm when it was covered in blood.
Yeah, yeah. And I just got what was supposed to just be my knee
Hmm.
last night, but the more we tried getting the stencil on there the way we wanted it, we were like, well, what if we just made it bigger? And we did that
Uh,
about two or three times. And so now it ended up being less my knee and more my lower thigh. Like my knee is tatted, but
uh-huh.
a good quarter of my thigh above the knee has also been tatted to allow for the best design template possible. So what started
Right.
off as just an idea to put a little ring of teeth around my knee has turned into doing a giant dragon skull. Technically, it's a wyvern skull
Okay.
around my knee.
Is that how you pronounce it? Is it wyvern? I've only
I
ever
think
read that word. I don't
I
know if
think
it's
it's
wyvern.
regionally, yeah,
Okay.
like regional dialects will call it wyverns or wyverns.
Hmm.
I know that like in the Monster Hunter game series, there is a there's a group of people that are known as wyverians,
Hmm.
and obviously they're named for wyvern, and so that's how I've
Uh,
always said it.
okay.
Tomato, tomato.
Right. True story. I'm just curious about things like that. Like I always kind of like I'm fascinated and I hate it when I learn that I've been mispronouncing a word forever.
I'm still never going to pronounce phenomena right. I never know.
Phenomena.
Yeah, I know. I never know if it's phenomena or phenomenon. So I always just kind of like quiet
Right.
my voice at the end of that word, so that way nobody can correct me.
Yeah, millennium and millennia is the same for me. Like I
Yeah.
have to put thought into it, but the ah is plural.
Hmm.
So if you can remember that, like yeah, millennia is thousands of years. Millennium is 1,000 years. Um, phenomenon is one event. Or phenomena is multiple events
Or constantly
or
occurring.
things. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Um,
Interesting. Here
yeah.
we are,
So
autodidactica, learning stuff.
right, it's what we do.
Yeah.
And some of it's erroneous. Some of it's the stuff we learned. I tried to actually for tonight's episode look up some specifics because I don't like throwing out just kind of generalities without being able to back it up. No receipts, so to speak. I'm not going full Rachel Maddow by any stretch of the imagination here. I
Canceled.
just wrote down specific cases and dates, and yeah, yeah. Feel free to cancel me if you
Yeah.
don't think it's good enough. Like, yeah, I don't know. Like, if Rachel Maddow had a day job, I don't think she'd be anywhere near as thorough. A day job other than what she does. I mean, um, so yeah, you're not going to get that caliber here, folks. We do our best with what we got. Um, so you ready to jump into this topic?
Yeah, yeah. I was just getting my little reference tabs here, all organized and whatnot.
Alrighty, that's a good thing to do. It's a good thing
Yeah,
to
you
do.
know, we're getting better at this, and I'm actually, I did I did the bare minimum of research for this one because just diving right in, cancel culture is such a widely talked about thing
Uh-huh.
nowadays, and
Right.
I was trying to find. I had
It's
this
a
like,
phenomenon that it's a
isn't it?
social
Wouldn't it be a
phenomenon.
phenomena? Wouldn't
No,
it be a social
phenomena would
phenomenon
be
if it's constantly occurring?
well, but it's just one thing. It's a phenomenon. I think. What do I know?
Yeah, I
I
don't
think
know.
okay. Yeah, I would say phenomenon. That's my vote,
All right, well,
but
I'm
acknowledging I could be wrong. I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah. It's a paranormal or something. I don't know.
Cancel culture is a it's paranormal phenomenon.
Yeah. Uh, let's see. I had like an article that I liked. Um, 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 uh, yeah, because my dad didn't know what cancel culture was, and he's a
Uh-huh.
63-year-old man,
Right.
and and as he do, he just comes up to me one day. And he's like, "Hey, Matthew, you ever heard of that cancel culture? What's that cancel culture about?"
hmm
So I gave him the what some might consider to be the liberal answer of, it's all of the it's all the people that have lost their job or standing due to making racist, violent, misogynistic, homophobic, or otherwise exclusionary remarks or taken action in those regards, and they've all lost their jobs or have been canceled.
Right.
So Republicans hate canceling because
Uh-huh.
it makes them be accountable for their actions.
Mhm. Well, and it's not just Republicans.
Yeah, no, no, for
But
sure.
they and that's something I want to get to. Like I feel like we've got there's actual cancellation of a person and then there's imagined cancellation of a person. And I feel like the actual and it may be like it's not just Republicans or conservatives, let's say, who are getting canceled, but I'm looking at my notes and really even when people we're talking politics because it happens a lot in politics. It also happens a lot in Hollywood, and
Yes,
it's all over.
yes.
If you are a celebrity of any caliber, you are subject to being canceled if you step out of line. Um, but it does. Well, no, I'm going to take that back. I was going to say it does appear that it's more likely liberals are going to cancel you, whether you are a liberal or a conservative and you step out of line. But I'm thinking about other things like book bans. That kind of thing always comes from the conservative side, where they want to cancel information, and liberals want to cancel people. Is what it seems like. Just thinking off the top
That's a
of
good
my
way of
head.
looking at it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and conservatives want to cancel ideas and information. It's um books.
An idea is bulletproof.
Uh-huh.
B for Vendetta. Love that movie.
I love
Um,
that movie too.
but yeah, and so that brings us to the because we're talking about canceling,
hmm
but the topic is actually cancel culture. So a quick
Right.
definition of that would be that we are now in a time where with social media at its peak right
Uh-huh.
now, and every following day is the new peak of social media. It's
Right.
not going to
Right.
stop, it's going to continue.
Yeah.
Cancel culture, I suppose, would be the phenomenon where
Phenomenal. Yeah.
where we now have the ability to publicly denounce en masse,
Right.
and
Right.
we are so the culture has become somebody person X steps on person Y's toe in an elevator, and then the whole world can now
Hmm.
publicly shame person X
Right.
for
And
such a violent act against whatever group they happen to have stepped upon.
right. Whether it was malicious or just an accident, you're guilty until proven innocent. And
Or at least people have the ability to accuse,
yeah,
and
and it's mob mentality takes over, and it's
absolutely the
all over
culture
social media is
and
why
the
we have
culture that
this.
has become of that is cancel culture,
Right.
where we
Because we
now have the ability to view an incident, form our own stupid little opinions over an incident we have no attachment to.
uh-huh.
Oftentimes,
Right.
if a group is being targeted by malicious content said by an actor or whatever,
Uh-huh.
then obviously, if you are a part of that group or consider yourself an ally to that group,
Hmm.
action may be merited, and
Right. It may be just.
right.
Sometimes we cancel people and it is an act of justice. It is merited. And other times cancel culture is toxic. It's just kind of, it feels like a lot of times people just want to jump on a bandwagon and say, point out how much they're opposed to whatever behavior that they've perceived this person or organization is guilty of, whether it's been proven or not. Um, because sometimes I'm going to go through some examples real quick that I wrote down, as far as actual cancel culture that's not like a fantasy cancel culture. Um, we've got a Representative Anthony Weiner. Do you remember this guy back in
Nope.
2011? Okay.
I was but a
Uh,
wee lad.
yeah. So he was a New York Democrat in the House of Representatives who on Twitter, like you'll find a lot of this crap goes down on Twitter. Twitter is an evil place. I don't know. Twitter is probably hell. But so Representative Weiner was sending pictures of his wiener. Like you can't make this stuff up.
Classic.
Yeah. It's like who writes this show? I don't know. Um, but yeah, like there were some girls he was talking to on Twitter, and he sent naughty pictures. And this guy's a congressman or New York, he's and so the Democrats came after him because Democrats like to hold people accountable, even their own. Um, and he basically was pressured into resigning. And to my knowledge, that was the end of his career. I mean, and that was actually the dude was canceled. He was over, gone, done. Al Franken is another um, Democratic senator who the Democrats canceled. He was, and this goes back to, I will say Anthony Weiner, I would say probably, I mean, it makes sense to me. You don't want that guy representing you if he's
Yeah, he'll never win another election.
right. Exactly. Not as a Democrat. I mean,
Right.
Republicans, it's like, oh, he's been dating 16-year-old girls. Well, he had
right,
the parents' permission. We don't care. Like,
right.
okay, okay.
You need a candidate that can beat the other candidates.
Right. Then you got Al Franken, who was an excellent senator, in my opinion. Very smart. Used to write for Saturday Night Live, so he's got a crazy sense of humor. And he got in trouble for sexual harassment, where this, I don't know the exact context. Like they were on the road, and this one woman fell asleep, and so there was a picture like Al Franken posed in front of her, like well in front of her, but put his hands over her boobs, like looks like he's grabbing her boobs while she's sleeping. He didn't actually grab her boobs. Still tacky, right? I mean, it's still
Yeah, a
still
bit creepy.
sexual harassment.
Yeah,
But this all came out and it had been years before. It's like they were digging for stuff. This came out he apologized to the woman. The woman accepted his apology. And he was like, yeah, I'm embarrassed and ashamed about that, but hopefully I can earn your trust again. But
He can't.
no, because he wasn't allowed to apologize. There was no redemption arc. That's one of the things about cancel culture that I think is toxic is there's no room for a redemption arc. It's like you did blackface in the 1970s in college. We found out about it in the 2020s. You're an old man who doesn't do blackface and you fight for civil rights, say. I'm making up a person. But we're going to hold you accountable for what you did in college.
Yeah,
It's
never mind the $150,000 donated to the NAACP.
right. Never mind your track record of fighting for equal rights and such. You're canceled because you were a stupid kid. Like none of us were ever stupid kids. None of us were ever 19.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
know?
politicians though, that's a whole different monster because
It
the
is.
stupidest people on the planet, voters,
Mm-hmm.
and so you know, you can't expect something like that to just be apologized for. Whether the apology is
Right.
accepted or not, your career as a politician is pretty much over once dirt gets
Right.
out about you. Significant dirt and backlash is formed. It's
Mm-hmm.
really hard to dig yourself out of that pit, especially as a Democrat.
Yeah. Because you will
Democrats
be held accountable. And
will be held accountable, and not that they can't be forgiven,
mm-hmm.
but now we need a stronger opponent.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing, and
Well,
that's where in Texas especially,
oh
I
gosh,
feel like
yeah.
there's
Which is where we are.
a significant weakness amongst, like, we've given up on so many previous Democratic candidates
Yeah.
that we have a hard time finding a strong one to fight
Well, because
the right.
I feel like the expectations are too high. I feel like we're expecting perfection from people, and that's not a possibility. Like Al Franken in particular, what really irked me is that the Democrats pushed this brilliant senator to resign. And he's got a podcast now. Like he's people are regretting getting rid of him because they got rid of him during the
The
Trump
Trump
administration
administration.
when these guys and the Trump the Republicans were calling for Al Franken's head. The Democrats listened,
Right.
and the thing is you got all the crap Trump was doing. No one was holding him accountable on his side. Al Franken, it's basically he was canceled over tacky humor. Yes, it was sexual harassment. I technically, but the woman did accept his apology publicly
That's why I could never
and
be a
said,
politician.
we're cool. But then they're still like, no, you got to go. And
Right.
then we lose a voice in the Senate during the Trump administration that was very much needed. Um, and meanwhile, the Republicans are not holding their own accountable at all. And
Yeah.
so we get rid of someone who would have held them accountable, who was
Right.
excellent at holding them accountable and bringing the receipts. He's gone now. So the Republicans win that one. The Democrats actually lose because they
Right.
wouldn't allow him to apologize. And, and again, yeah, I
But it's
can't
like
say
where do you
objectively where you draw the line
yeah,
there.
exactly. That's what I was gonna say is where do you draw the line? Do you stand by your
Yeah.
morals
Mm-hmm.
even within your own party to exemplify what the party's ideals represent? Or do
Uh-huh.
you cut the party's leaders some slack in order to make the party strong?
Right.
And because, yeah, I mean, my sense of humor is pretty dark and,
Right.
tacky and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's why I can never be a politician, but I understand that. And so, like, as a Democratic politician, you have to understand your constituency and know that
They want you to be perfect.
they want you to be exemplary,
Uh, exemplary.
exemplary. Yeah, they want you to lead by example. And yeah, taking a picture of you air fondling a chick's tits
Right. Right.
is not exemplary. and so you'll be held accountable. And that's just
Uh-huh.
that's the party you chose. If you
Yeah.
are representing that party, your photo now represents the party, which is why the Republicans party leaders are so damn representative of their
Oh yeah.
constituency. And but so as a Democrat, you have to understand that that's what we expect from you,
Uh-huh.
and you have to be willing to live that life.
Hmm.
And and how does that photo get out? You know,
Right. Well, that's what I'm
obvious,
saying. They were digging for
obviously.
stuff.
Well, how do you dig for stuff? If that's in his camera roll, did somebody like break into his camera roll?
Yeah,
And
good question. Like, where was this picture
so
saved? I don't know.
either
I'd have to look that up.
exactly, so he probably sent it to somebody like, ha ha ha, this is so funny, and then it
Uh-huh.
gets out and gets spread around, and so obviously that's sexual harassment,
Hmm.
you know, because for one thing, just the fact that she was asleep.
Yeah, yeah. And that's how I remember it. I didn't
And
look
like
that
if
up. I
they're like
remember.
are the and then the context of their relationship, are they good friends or were they
Hmm.
just co-workers
Yeah, good
and
question.
something like that, like, because I have several female friends, and I
Hmm.
might do something like that, and
Right.
then send it to him and be like, hey, and then it's just it's just funny, but I'm not posting it on social media. I'm not sending it to all my friends and
Right.
acquaintances and stuff like that. It's just a
Hmm.
little gem for me to look at in 80 years or something and giggle about. And
Right.
but so yeah, cancel culture, you know, it actually, one of the things I wanted to point out, was that, so in this article I found it, in September of 2020, 44% of Americans had heard at least a fair amount about the phrase cancel culture.
Uh-huh.
Um, and then of those 44% that were surveyed, let's see, mentioned each of the following when asked to describe in their own words what they think cancel culture means.
Hmm.
And so the number one was actions taken to hold others accountable.
Mm.
But you can see that 59% of the people who mentioned that were liberal or lean Democratic.
Uh-huh.
And that answer totaled 49% of the total um,
Hmm.
thing. And so, but only 36% mentioned that were conservatives or lean Republican.
Hmm.
But and then the next one is, the next highest thing that was mentioned when they were asked to describe it in their own words was cancel culture to them is censorship of speech or history. And guess what? It's flip
Ah,
flopped.
right. That's how the
26%,
conservatives see it.
yeah, 26% said were conservative lean Republican. Only 6% said of liberal lean Democrats said that. And
Hmm.
that only totaled 14%. And then you have 12, 9, 6, 5, 4, and 2 for the other responses, meaning, and these get pretty reachy, so hence why they weren't a common thing amongst the people surveyed, because
Hmm.
mean-spirited actions taken to cause others harm. Okay, I can see that. That's basically online trolling, is what
Right,
they're
right.
is
Which
that sounds more
sometimes,
like online trolling.
right. Which
Um,
kind of like I have an example of that too. If but go on, because yeah,
yeah,
I mean you've got
yeah.
you
I'll just go down the
my
list. People canceling, 9% people canceling anyone they disagree with. People
uh-huh.
do that. I see that.
Right. Yeah, you disagree with me,
Cancel.
you're over. Like we
Yep.
can't just have a
That
conversation.
one,
We can't
both of those were predominantly conservative Republican responses as well, dominated
uh-huh.
responses. Mean spirited actions taken to cause harm and people canceling anyone they disagree with. That was equal amounts of the 12% and 9% of the overall total. 15% of the people that answered that were, on both of those, were Republican, conservative leaning,
Uh-huh.
as compared to 8 and 5 for liberal Democrat leaning.
Hmm.
And then you've got, those who are challenged. Okay, those who are challenged face consequences like being fired or boycotted. So a pretty literal take on cancel culture,
Right.
or canceling. An attack on traditional American society. I'll give you three guesses on on who
Right.
is talking about traditional American society.
Uh-huh.
And
Could
then
it
this one,
be conservatives? Could it be?
yeah, yeah, 1% of the 5% who answered that, 1% uh were liberal Democrat, and
Mhm.
so
Well, I mean,
you
that
know,
kind of goes
and then 13% was uh this is a weird
conservatives.
breakdown. Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, that
but
kind of goes to like, like the perception that giving someone else a seat at the table is taking your seat away.
mhm,
It's like gay marriage. You're
right,
canceling straight marriage. No, you're
right,
not. No, you're not. But that's how it's being perceived. Is
right.
you're devaluing what I have by allowing other people to have it too.
Yeah. And then
Um,
the last two are very liberal, Democrat leaning, and they're very like, I don't see how you can answer what do you think cancel culture is
uh-huh.
and be. I think these are very specific. So I think the people who answered this must have had something or seen something recently that immediately brought these things to mind because they answered
Hmm.
a way to call out racism, sexism, or etc.,
Right.
and then a misrepresentation of people's actions. So
Hmm.
I think those people who answered with those very direct
Yeah.
answers probably had either been influenced or seen something recently that was dominating their thought process during the study.
Hmm.
Because yeah, the
And
first one is the one I tend to adhere to the most. Actions taken to hold others accountable.
right,
That
right.
is
And
what
that's
the perception that I see as cancel culture.
I
Like,
do
because
too. And
cancel culture,
sometimes it's too far. Sometimes it crosses a line. But that
right,
is the objective.
right,
Um,
because the thing is like, there's no hearing for a lot of this. It's all social media. It's all dogpiling on the accused, and
uh-huh.
then trying to sort out the facts that we have none of,
Right.
and sifting through myriad of hearsay
Hmm.
and allegations and things like that. And I'm just like, this is social media has become a courtroom
Right. Well, like the Johnny Depp Amber
where the,
Heard
where the guilty
case.
are, where you're guilty until proven innocent
Guilty until
on
proven
social
innocent. Yeah.
media.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And like, yeah, the Johnny Depp thing, like he lost his
Biggest role ever.
yeah, he lost Pirates of the Caribbean. He lost the
Fantastic
Fantastic
Beasts.
Beasts role.
Several
Um,
future roles, I'm sure, as well, that we
right,
haven't even heard of.
right. But then the trial finally finishes and he is exonerated, and now everybody wants to work with him again. And
Yeah.
I mean, it's ridiculous that he had to go through that because why fire him from all these roles before he has been proven to have done anything wrong, especially when the evidence that we knew was there from previous trials already made it look like this was all horse crap to a
Yeah,
large
no, and
degree.
I just looked up the official results of that because
Uh-huh.
I kind of stopped paying attention to it
So
once it
did
was made
I.
clear that it was going to be.
And I wasn't paying
It
that
was,
much
it's
attention to it while it was going on. It's just you couldn't avoid that.
Yeah, yeah. Judge and Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trial makes jury verdict official with $10.3 million award,
Jeez.
and that's nothing in comparison to the money he would have received from his movie roles.
Oh, right. True.
Like, he got a drop in the ocean compared to how
Oh,
how much
yeah.
damage was done to his
Oh
career.
yeah, because I mean he gets so much money for playing Jack Sparrow in
Mm-hmm.
those Pirates of the Caribbean films.
Yep. The world
And
loves those movies.
yeah, and they were gonna make one without him. I'm like, why bother?
Why
I'm not
bother?
interested. I am not interested in going to see Pirates of the Caribbean 6 or whatever if Jack Sparrow isn't in it.
Or Jack Sparrow is replaced by some
Yeah, so
look-alike.
right, that would be
Yeah,
even worse. But I
yeah.
mean, it's if he had been a wife beater, if he had been a monster, then
Cancel him. Get him out of there.
it makes sense. You don't want a wife beater in a movie that you're selling to kids. You don't you don't want to be as supportive of that. That makes sense. But if it hasn't been proven, at the very least, put Pirates of the Caribbean 6 on hold until the results come out. Don't just say, well, you're fired and we're going to go ahead and make your movie without you. Well, that's what happened to Roseanne Barr too. It's actually different because she actually did do the thing she was canceled for. But I mean, just being taken off of her own show that she had created. And I mean, with that one, it was 2018. She posted again on Twitter, social media hell. Um, like she posted a racist tweet. Um, and said it wasn't intended to be racist. Like she went very pro Trump. But if you watched her show when they revived it, like that show, Roseanne has always been very liberal, in my opinion. They've been very um
Wasn't there a
pro
daughter that
social
was
justice, pro social values. Like, oh, a daughter who one of the
or
actresses is a lesbian. Is that what you're?
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. And it was all they were cool. They didn't fire her for being a lesbian like that. Roseanne may have become a Trump supporter, which was as shocking as J.K. Rowling becoming a TERF or coming out as a TERF. But because these are people who
Just
like,
learned that term today.
right? We're gonna. Oh, did you just learn it? You don't.
Yeah, I just learned that term today
We'll,
because she's on my list of
she's on my list
examples.
too. We're gonna get to her. Um, but yeah, so like Roseanne was always this voice of like um social like pro social values. Her show was too, but her show was if she was thrown off, they pulled her show. Like you couldn't buy it or download it anywhere. You couldn't watch the latest season of it. But if you did watch the latest season, all of the values presented in those episodes were the antithesis of Trumpism. They even had an episode where Roseanne and her husband were nervous about the new Muslim neighbors. But this tweet
Hmm.
was anti-Muslim and it was racist against black
Racist.
people.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think she said
I'm reading
something
the tweet right now.
like yeah, it was like the Muslim Brotherhood and
Planet
Planet
of
of
the
the Apes
Apes.
had a baby, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's so very racist against I don't remember Valerie something. She was with the Obama administration.
Yeah,
So
Valerie
like
Jarrett.
Valerie Jarrett, that's who it was against. But like her actual show did not present those values, those bigoted values at all. So it's weird to me that the show was also punished. Like it continued without her under another title, The Connors. They took Roseanne out of it, killed her off.
Did they kill her?
They killed her off. They're just like
Wait,
the next episode.
seriously?
Yes, they.
Like car accident or something like that?
I don't remember how she died because I didn't keep watching it. Like I'm not much on watching TV if it's not on my own time, like Netflix or something. But I want to say that she had a drug overdose or
Yeah, an
something. Like
overdose of pain medication.
yeah, because they'd set that up actually in the previous season. Like she got addicted to pain pills.
That's
And
rad. Good for
yeah.
them.
But like yeah, so it's strange to me though, like if her art is being treated as though it's this conservative, bigoted, racist thing, but it's her.
Yeah.
It's so I don't know. And then you got Bill Cosby too, he's a
Yeah.
rapist. Like he got the decision was overturned. He's free now. The Supreme Court overturned it not because there was evidence of his innocence, but because it was a procedural thing. Like due process wasn't done right or something. And they're like, no, you can't convict him of rape, even though clearly he has raped women. He's drugged them. Um, but like his body of work, Fat Albert, The Cosby Show, pro social values. It's all good stuff. It's not It's not pro rape culture. You never see Fat Albert roofie a chick to get laid. You don't see like uh Heathcliff Huxtable roofing chicks. It doesn't happen.
Yeah.
They have completely different set of values presented in.
So now you're talking separating the art from the
Well,
artist.
that's true, and that really is kind of another. I'm on a tangent, I guess, but it is something I've noticed. It's like once you have been proven imperfect, or well, I guess racism and rape, those do cross a line.
Yeah, we went
But
from Johnny Depp being innocent to Bill Cosby's shows being still all right despite him being a
right,
being a rapist.
but I guess my point relating to the topic is that when you are canceled, everything you have ever done is condemned right along with you. It's like they want to pull you out by the roots and throw you out the window.
Erase you
Like
from existence.
everything you ever did is now bad.
Oh yeah, no, I didn't write this down at all, but like cancel culture from a conservative standpoint, statue removals.
Right. I was just about to bring up Thomas Jefferson. So we're kind of in the same.
Yeah, no, like people, there was that what park was it here in Dallas that had a Robert E. Lee statue?
Lee Park.
Lee Park, literally. And they renamed the
Yeah.
park too.
Did they? I don't know what they
Yeah.
renamed it.
Yeah, I can't remember either. Or
But yeah, like it's the whole.
I guess they didn't. No, they didn't rename it.
Oh, it's still Lee Park,
Yeah, it's still Lee Park.
but we
Yeah,
don't have that
we don't
statue.
have the statue.
So, and
And
you
so
know,
that's to the Republicans or to the conservatives, same thing. But that's cancel culture.
it's
Working
erasing.
against American values.
Right. They see it as erasing history by taking down these statues that were not erected until the mid 20th century.
1960s. Yeah, they were
Yeah.
erected to scare black people.
Exactly. To intimidate them, to say, yeah, we're white supremacy still reigns here.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Exactly.
don't forget it. Here's a statue
Yeah,
of the
nobody
people
cared
who
about
fought.
Robert E. Lee until
Yeah.
black people started wanting to vote.
Yeah.
And yeah, and started wanting equal rights. And so nobody cared about Robert E. Lee. And they were like, you know who intimidated a ton of black people?
The
Confederate
Confederates.
generals.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
So-
so yeah, then they started erecting all these statues all across the country.
all across, especially the South, and like, well, obviously, I mean, in the southern states, that's where you find them celebrating conservative generals with statues. Coincidentally, at the peak of the civil rights movement, that's when those statues went up. That's what it was a reaction to. It wasn't about history. It was about the present, then present social issues. And yeah, but they act like these statues have been there since the Civil War. No.
Yeah.
And you take down a statue, we still learn history.
Yeah.
In books, in school, we're still learning about the Civil War.
You know where that
without a
statue belongs?
statue.
In a goddamn museum.
In a museum. Yes. Thank you, Indiana Jones. It belongs in a museum.
Yeah, no, and if you want to buy the statue of the traitor to the Union of Robert E. Lee, it'll only cost you about 1.4 million. That's how much it sold for.
It sold. They sold it.
Yeah, no, they sold it. City of Dallas sold it, and get this, they put that money into the school system.
Ah, interesting.
And so
I like that.
And no, I just made that up. That's just me wishful thinking. But yeah, no, the City of Dallas sold it for 1.4 million. And funnily enough, I know where that statue is now.
Really?
Yeah, no, the people who bought it, because I've been wanting to take a trip to, total off topic, bear with me, but I've been wanting to take a trip to Big Bend National Park for quite some time now.
Yeah.
I want to look at some damn stars.
Oh yeah, same.
And there is a resort down there called Lajitas. And it is a golf resort, but they've got all sorts of activities and stuff. Basically, if you want to stay somewhere that isn't a trailer park hotel motel area or camp, it's pretty much your best shot is Lajitas Resort. it's got some decent rates and all that. It's got a
Mhm.
big old golf course, which I care nothing about, but it's got a
Right.
ton of activities that you can just schedule and do. And on the back nine is
Mhm.
the statue of Robert E. Lee
That's
that
so
was once
weird.
in the Lee Park in Dallas. They went out there and bought it and then put it up there. So it did make me second guess my consumerism of wanting to go to this
Right, because
resort.
why did you buy
Yeah.
that statue?
Apparently, the owners of Lahidas Resort are quite interested in
Yeah, they're
the Confederacy and
mhm.
all that.
Yeah, they're Confederates, I
Yeah.
guess. It's weird.
But yeah, that's what the Republicans think of cancel culture as. That's where that partisan line is.
Right.
When defining cancel culture, typically I'd say that, like I was reading off that article a moment ago, liberals tend to define it as accountability.
Yeah.
It's a movement of accountability.
Hmm.
And like you've pointed out several times, oftentimes it can be taken too far and too quick.
Yeah.
The hammer can come down too hard and too fast.
Right.
But then from the conservative standpoint, it is the literal erasure of information
Uh,
and values, traditional American values, Sesame Street and the Muppets, and
right. Oh
removing
God.
statues, and
The Muppets are on my list, but
a Dr. Seuss.
that's on
You
my
know,
list too. Yeah.
yeah,
Well, because
they're
yeah, we're getting into this was one of the categories I wanted to talk is imagined cancel culture too. Like where they fantasize that something is being canceled, but it isn't.
right.
It's being
They're
held accountable, like the Muppets.
staging an imaginary attack, getting
Right.
defensive.
Right. Yeah. It's like I don't know. It's like persecution porn to them.
Mm-hmm.
We're being
Yeah.
persecuted. They're taking away Dr. Seuss. They're taking away because so two books went out of print, right? It was two books that had um
I don't
I
know,
guess
Mr. Author Man. You tell me.
racial stereotypical illustrations in there.
Was it the
Um
one with the stars on their tummies?
I don't even know. I don't know which books they were. But the thing is, those books had not sold in years. And the publisher didn't put every Dr. Seuss book out of print. They stopped printing the ones that were outdated, socially outdated, and had not sold in years.
Yeah,
A
here you go,
publisher,
Republicans. This thing is called
I
capitalism.
was just about to say that. You're so pro capitalism. This is what capitalism does.
Yeah.
Capitalism canceled those books. Didn't cancel them. You can still find them on eBay, no doubt. But
Yeah, I learned how
they're
to
out of
read
print.
from
They
Dr.
were
Seuss
not
books.
selling. Oh, really?
Yeah, no, I started reading at the age of 3 because
Hey,
of
so
Hop
did
on
I.
Pop. I'd read Hop on Pop, and I
Mhm.
freaking loved. I had 3 copies of that book, and like I had this thing where like we had to my dad would have to read them to me in order. They were the same book, but I was like, read this one, and he's like, okay. And then I read this one. It was the same
The
exact book, but for whatever
same
reason, I
book.
had 3 of them. And yeah, that's
That
how I
is
learned how to read was Hop
adorable.
on Pop. And that's how I taught my little brother how to read, and my little sister too,
From Dr. Seuss.
from Dr. Seuss.
That's the way to do it. Yeah, I had a lot of great Dr. Seuss books as a kid. Um, but yeah, like he wasn't canceled. You can still do that. You can still read Hop on Pop to your children. Teach. You can still
You can
learn
still
to read.
find those books.
Yeah, they're still
They're
in the
at your
store.
public library.
They're
Like
yeah. Oh yeah, the ones that are out of print, they're still in the library. You
they're
can
still in
find.
circulation.
Yeah,
They're just not
there's
being sold new. They're not being
yeah,
printed.
right, because it makes no sense to do a print run of a book that didn't sell, another print run.
Yeah, it'd be like a company that still makes powdered wigs and masks.
Right, just
Like,
because we can't have them canceled, we have to keep making them. We'll just pile them up on the shelves. So
yeah,
it just
nobody
doesn't make any
wants them.
sense.
Yeah, it's just like Long John Silver's. Who the hell is keeping that business alive?
I don't know. People who
Yeah,
eat Long John Silver's. I guess
I
I don't
guess
know.
so. Like,
But like, and okay, so the Muppets though, like Disney Plus put the Muppet Show on the streaming service with a disclaimer at the beginning. Basically, kind of like the Dr. Seuss thing. Like this show was made in the 70s. We were
Some things might be
Yeah,
racist.
we were not as socially evolved in the 1970s. Um, yeah, it's like so they just basically had a disclaimer that says these things are outdated. They don't represent our views as a company, but they're presented here. This is key. They are presented here as originally broadcast. Just but be aware we don't stand by anything that, and it's not like the Muppet Show was overtly racist. It's just there were some stereotypical Muppets, I guess. I
Right.
don't even know exactly what it was. I'd have to
Me either. I
get
was
on there
never a
and
Muppets.
watch
I
it.
was never a Sesame Street guy.
Uh-huh.
Allegedly, I was, but I remember none of it.
Oh,
I
I
apparently
definitely was.
walked around. I had an Ernie plushie.
Uh-huh.
Is that Sesame Street? I don't even freaking
Yeah,
know
that's
at this
Sesame
point.
Street.
Yeah, I had an Ernie plushie that I would apparently like walk around with all the time. One time, Sarah, if you're listening, stole my and hid my Ernie
Oh.
doll, and I was a mess.
Oh.
I allegedly locked myself in a closet and like refused to come out until my Ernie was found.
Oh, that's so sad and cute.
Yeah, yeah. But see, I remember none of Ernie. My childhood was filled with Barney.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and I'm sure Barney has been canceled for something or other.
Probably. I mean,
There is
I
probably
don't
something
know.
racist in there. I don't know.
Right. But yeah, but the Muppets weren't canceled. They're literally on Disney Plus as originally broadcast to an extent. I mean, there's some rights things with some music and stuff, but that's not the original broadcast. But yeah, Dr. Seuss wasn't canceled. Mr. Potato Head. Like, see, the theme I pick up on is that the conservatives get really upset over fictional characters, but they don't care about real people
Right?
who are
Yeah.
like they're upset that Mr. Potato Head's cock has
Fictional
been cut
characters
off,
and
but it hasn't
historical
been.
traitors.
Yeah, yeah. Like Mr. Potato Head. Like they rebranded. Like Mr. Potato Head is no longer called the line, it's the Potato Head. But Mr. Potato Head is still a part of that. It's like Mr. Potato Head has not been castrated. Don't worry, his fictional dong has not been cut off of his fictional potato body.
Yeah,
And if
what
it
makes him a,
was, all his pieces come off anyway.
yeah, what makes him a mister? I don't see any
Right,
interchangeable parts down there.
right. I don't either. You remember when like, the Mr. Potato Heads where you could open his butt and store all his body parts in
Yeah,
there?
yeah,
Like,
I do.
just
See,
I
I was
don't.
never a potato head kid. That never interested me. And that's the thing is that like who's I don't know. Potato head seems like it's for like infants, and I would never give my infant
Right.
something with chokeable parts. Like, because I was dinosaurs.
Oh
Day
yeah,
one.
me too.
Hand me a potato head, and I'm like, what the hell is this?
See, I did both. I liked everything. I had Mr. Potato Head. I had a ton of dinosaurs.
I still have my dinosaurs in storage.
Nice.
I need to go get them. Just place them
Heck yeah.
precariously through the house.
I would love that. I don't know. I probably have a few of my dinosaurs somewhere in storage. I have my Godzilla.
Mm, had a
That
couple
counts
of
as a
those.
dinosaur. My
But yeah.
Shogun Warriors Godzilla.
Oh
His
wow.
hand shoots off. It's great.
A ninja Godzilla. Toy companies, man, they will stop at no lengths to sell
Right,
toys.
right.
Yeah, no, the one that you made me think of that I don't know how I hadn't written down yet was you want to talk about canceling? Probably the most controversial movie of the 21st century.
Yeah.
You ever heard of a movie called Tropic Thunder?
I've heard of the movie. I've never seen
You've
it.
never seen it? God,
I
I need
don't
to
think
get
I
that.
have.
I need to get that movie then. Robert Downey Jr. literally played a black man.
Oh, I'm aware
Like,
of this. I have
like
no, I haven't seen
it
it.
wasn't blackface, but he was a full-blown black man.
Uh-huh.
Like, and the thing about the movie is meant to be ironic
Ah,
because it's a movie being made about a movie being made
uh-huh.
and the ridiculous lengths that modern actors will go to land the big role.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's so much controversy in this movie. Like Robert Downey Jr. literally undergoes cosmetic surgery to turn himself into a black man in order to land the role in this movie that is set during the Vietnam War.
Okay.
And so that's his whole character. Is I'm the guy who's playing the guy who's playing the other guy. Like, and then you've got God, Night at the Museum, Ben Stiller.
Yeah.
Uh, you've got him who like his claim to fame was in the movie. He did a movie that was not unlike Tom Hanks' role in Forrest Gump,
Mm-hmm.
and it was meant to be a sort of spoof of that, where he did a movie called Simple Ed,
Mm-hmm.
where he is a fully abled person
Oh.
playing a person with a like Down syndrome or autism or something,
Yeah.
and he's Simple Ed, and everybody makes fun of him for taking that role and that being his biggest hit movie.
Was that
Is
his biggest hit movie?
in the movie.
Oh, in the movie.
In the movie, yeah, that's not
Okay,
an actual
gotcha.
movie. Yeah, no, Simple Jack. That's what it was. Simple Jack in the movie. He was
I
Ben
see.
Stiller's character is being made fun of for taking the role of Simple Jack in order to boost his career. And then
Got
you've
it.
got I don't remember the details of the movie too much because I've only sat through it like twice. It's a ridiculous movie, and I don't
Uh-huh.
know how more people aren't talking about it in this modern era of cancel culture. How Robert Downey Jr. came out of that unscathed.
Uh-huh.
Like that's the big one.
Right, because it seems like people will like that seems like something people would dig for and say he did blackface, even though in context he's showcasing the absurdity of a thing.
Right.
Um,
He's playing a character that would do blackface. Robert Downey Jr. did not do
right,
blackface. The
exactly.
character in the movie is an actor who would do blackface.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. It seems like something that
But
would
Robert
be
Downey
taken
Jr.
out of
did do it.
context.
Like
Yeah.
that's the thing. And see the thing is, when we talk about cancel culture, this is something I wanted to touch on too. I know you have a few more points on your little list that you wanted to get to.
Mhm.
Um
On your little
on
list.
your little list. But cancel culture is something that it doesn't seem to reach down to us plebeians.
Mm.
Like
Oh yeah,
it is something that is highly in the large spectrum of people, politicians, actors,
celebrities.
musicians, celebrities,
Right.
and it doesn't really reach down to us too much. I have a small example of when it does,
Mhm.
without giving out any names or details. In the local scene here, there was a musician who allegedly made some comments. You've heard this story.
Right.
There was a local musician who, going through a tough moment in his life, somebody was attacking him
Mhm.
unjustly, verbally, and he made a pretty obscene comment to that person,
Mhm.
um, which was a for lack of a better term, and what it actually was a threat of violence.
Yeah.
And then this person gets publicly denounced and condemned, loses their band
Mhm.
and connection to that band, and has hardly been heard from since.
Yeah.
And I can only imagine like what they're going through right now.
Mhm.
They made a post checking in, saying that they're still alive, still existing, and working through all of the life changes that have suddenly come their way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you get a little piece of fame, and boy, people can just destroy it with a simple mob mentality attack on social
Right.
media.
Right, because you have to be perfect.
Right? You have
Once
any
you
sort of
once you get
presence,
up there, once you're a social media god of any caliber, you
any
have to be
caliber.
perfect.
Yeah, you get 2,500 followers.
Uh-huh.
You can get canceled.
Yeah.
I don't know where the mark lies, but here at Autodidactica, we don't really care.
Right.
You
Like
know,
cancel us any day. We'll just keep doing this.
we'll
Like
just keep doing it.
until people get over it. Like
Yeah,
if we do something wrong, I'm pretty sure we'll apologize for it. But then
absolutely.
we'll move on. We'll allow ourselves. I'm not going to go disappear and hide. And if I ever am cancel cultured,
Right.
I'm just not. I don't know because I think
Unless
it's
I'm doing something horribly wrong that I am just absolutely unaware of,
uh-huh.
yeah,
Right.
come at me.
Hmm.
But yeah,
Because you
it
should hold people accountable.
absolutely.
We should be held accountable if we do something wrong.
But we should also like lay off the excommunication
Right.
without knowing all the facts. See, that's the thing is
Exactly.
the social media you get 1% of the information in
Uh-huh.
context.
Probably, yeah.
Our lives, as much
Something
as people
around that.
post their whole lives on social media,
Uh-huh.
it's not their whole lives.
No, it's not. It's highlights. It's what they are
It's
willing to share.
highlights 1%. 1% of
Uh-huh.
the context is what you get off of social media.
Right. Like all the pictures people post about them, they make it look like all they do is party and have fun with their friends, but they spend 98% of their time sitting at home
Depressed and
alone.
anxious.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I know
Yeah,
that for a fact as someone who does vlogs.
right,
Like my vlogs are genuine. They are real slices of my life, but I'm not showing you every minute.
right.
It's a chosen narrative of, highlights. It's like this would be interesting to vlog about. I think I will. But I'm not gonna show like myself just having an anxiety attack for no apparent reason at 7 p.m. and shivering in the kitchen. That's not gonna be in a vlog. I'm not
Right.
gonna
So,
post
yeah,
pictures of myself puking because I got the flu on
right,
Instagram. Like I'm just not gonna do that. I mean, I don't post anything on Instagram. I have
true.
no pictures, but
But yeah, so
bad
it's like this
example.
this kid that got canceled, and he's you know they're just a local musician,
Yeah.
and all these people come and attack them.
Hmm.
I was having a heyday reading through all of it, and I was just like, there's no way 90% of these people know this person's life in detail enough to merit this sort of attack.
Yeah.
And that was my unbiased and completely unaffiliated and probably incorrect opinion
Right.
of reading through that. But it was just interesting to me to see someone so small get canceled,
Hmm.
because usually that is something that just happens to the big shots in this world.
Right.
And even when it happens to the big shots, oftentimes nothing happens.
Hmm.
You want to talk about
Right.
examples and stuff like that. It's just like a lot of times they remain completely unscathed, like J.K. Rowling.
J.K. Rowling. Oh yeah. Like, okay, and this comes to the difference between cancel culture and boycotts. Because like
However marginal that difference may be.
right, and it is different because like J.K. Rowling, since we're on her,
Mm-hmm.
has not been canceled. Like she may have been soft canceled, like they've taken her name off of some logos,
Cancel
but she
culture
is
made a
still
move
getting
against
money.
her.
Yeah, but it didn't work. It didn't take because she's
Right.
too big. Like her books are still on the shelves. Target, you like Target, okay, YouTuber Shane Dawson, very famous YouTuber,
Mm-hmm.
um, has repeatedly gotten canceled over things he did when he was a stupid kid that no one was mad about when he was doing them then. But decades later, when his
Audience has
whole
aged with him.
yeah, and his platform it's very different. He's doing very different kinds of videos. People bring up these old videos and they're like demanding his head, cancel Shane Dawson. He goes away to hide and lick his wounds, comes back later. He's done this repeatedly. But Target, this last time that they canceled him over old tacky jokes or old racist stuff. Yes, he was joking about pedophilia and bestiality. He was also a kid, at the time. But he'd already apologized for it and the world had moved on. But then they decided to dig it up again and cancel him again for the same stuff. Target pulls all his books from the shelf. All his sponsors drop him on YouTube. That did not happen to J.K. Rowling.
Yeah.
Target still sells her books. Target
Oh, yeah.
sells so much Harry Potter stuff. There's all the Lego stuff, all these new editions of her books. The movies are still coming out and being made.
Cancel
It's
culture cannot defeat capitalism.
right. But unless enough people get on board, and it's difficult to get enough people on board, like people don't want to cancel because again, artist. That's a case in which the art won. Like people don't care.
Art
They,
usually wins.
yeah. And I think
Like
the
I just looked up
art
Chris Brown a second ago. Guess what? He's fine.
right. Yeah. Yeah. Everybody's fine. If you got your art out there, it's eventually this is all like if you look at any historical like celebrity, they had some skeletons in their closets. We still value their body of work. But J.K. Rowling came out as a TERF, which is we should because people might not know what that is.
Yeah.
Like you just learned
I
it today.
barely know. Yeah.
It's a trans exclusionary radical feminist.
Yeah.
Which means basically they're targeting transgender women and saying you are not women. Get out of our way. To oversimplify the matter. And J.K. Rowling has come out as a trans exclusionary radical feminist and will not back down.
Not by her own terms.
Right. She doesn't. Well, it's like racists don't
title.
consider themselves racist. I hate being called a racist, but here's a racist thing I'm going to say.
Right.
How dare you call me a racist? They don't like the labels, but they own the definition of those labels. They are the definition of those labels. But yeah, J.K. Rowling will not back down. Very anti-transgender women. And so there is a boycott. In the LGBTQ community, there is a boycott of J.K. Rowling, which doesn't hurt her at all. But it does raise awareness about things. It opens the door for discussion, I think. So it isn't valueless, but she is fine. She is still one of the richest people on earth. Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like, voting third party. It's a third party candidates are good for starting discussions, having awareness. Conversations, but they are not going to win the right. Big elections. You got Chick-fil-A, Hobby Lobby, Masterpiece Cake Shop. Those are all boycotts. None of these things have been canceled.
Yeah, it's just like, how is the average consumer? How are you supposed to cancel a monster like J.K. Rowling?
Right.
Like, I haven't even bought a Harry Potter book in my entire lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
I have not gone to see a single Harry Potter film in theaters.
Really?
I went and saw the orchestra.
Oh, right.
Perform Chamber of Secrets.
Uh-huh.
I wonder if J.K. Rowling gets money off of that.
She does. She's got to. She's got to get money off of everything.
I'll bet she does.
Yeah.
But I looked at that as I'm supporting the DSO.
Uh-huh. Yeah, right.
By the way, I'm a DSO member now.
Oh, really? So, congrats.
Yeah. No, I made
Dallas Symphony Orchestra, for those of you who don't know the acronym.
Yeah. I made a donation and
nice.
And got membership to the DSO. So now I'm cool, I guess.
Right, you're cool. Until we cancel you.
Yeah, until then. Come after me.
Yeah. And I mean,
see if I don't care.
Right, we'll just watch just how much you don't care.
How much I don't care.
You've been canceled.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird stuff. But I mean, some of these people, does J.K. Rowling deserve to be canceled? Or does she deserve to be censured? Chick-fil-A, they give a ton of money. no, I think it's a Hobby Lobby gives a ton of money to not only anti-LGBTQ groups, like trying to roll back rights and such, but also to basically
Conversion
trying to make
therapies,
laws to, well, yeah, and laws
lobbying,
to
Hobby
basically
Lobby.
allow discrimination. Legal discrimination is something they're pushing for. Hobby Lobby, yeah, and Chick-fil-A are basically the same, except Chick-fil-A has been kind of back and forth. Like they had initial backlash for the groups they were giving money to, and then they pulled back. They stopped donating to all but one of them. But then a couple years after that, they wound up donating to more than they had before of these hate groups and such. Um, but so like where do you draw the line on where someone should be canceled? Like should be canceled, should be just bagged up and thrown out the window, or where they
Yeah,
should just have
allegedly,
a slap on the wrist or say, "Hey, apologize for that. Go forth and sin no more." Like have a redemption arc. I don't know.
yeah, I'm reading here just a headline that Chick-fil-A will no longer donate to anti-LGBTQ
What's the date
organizations
on
in
that?
2019. So I don't know if they've rolled
2019.
that back.
Let me
And
see.
their donation that was under scrutiny was to the Salvation Army,
Right. That's one of the
which
ones.
is which is very anti-LGBTQ.
Yeah, and they did pull back. They did stop donating to Salvation Army, but I want to say they started up again. Let me
Yeah, it
look
said
that
going
up.
forward that Chick-fil-A will work exclusively with organizations that focus on education, homelessness, and hunger.
Uh-huh.
But the biggest problem in there is definitely the homelessness one, given that a
Uh-huh.
large percentage of LGBTQ community end up being homeless.
Right.
And I don't know how far that branch extends to them. Like LGBTQ homelessness is a major problem in the community.
Oh yeah, because they get kicked out of their
They
houses.
get kicked out of their houses. And
Tragic. And that article is from 2019 that
yeah,
you were looking at. Okay, so that's past any of my notes where they went back to supporting people more than they had before. So I guess 2019 they went back
that
to
was
we're
the
not
biggest
going to do
headline
that
on a Google
anymore.
search. Yeah,
Okay, it's like we're just going to sell chicken. That's
because
we're
that's
just going
what
to
they
sell
should be
food.
doing.
It is
Yeah,
what they should be doing.
yeah.
I don't know why a company that sells chicken is getting
Just chill out and
politically
try to lower
involved.
the corporate tax rate. That's what you're supposed to be doing as a
Right.
corporate conglomerate.
Right. If you want to be destructive, do that.
Yeah, that's what you should be lobbying towards. What are you doing? What are you even doing in the love lives of people? You sell freaking chicken,
Seriously. Well, because
like
it's a Christian.
Christian organization.
Yeah, same
I
with
saw a
Hobby
meme that
Lobby.
was like, so here's the idea: we start up a fast food truck, park it outside of Chick-fil-A on Sundays, and call it Side Chick. And
I like it. I like it a lot.
no, and they're only there's a few Chick-fil-A's in the country that you can get Chick-fil-A on Sunday.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and that's so funny, right? Because they close all their locations on Sunday because
Yeah.
that is the day of the Sabbath,
Which it's
and
not the Sabbath, but
it's
it's where
not the
the
Sabbath.
Christians
That's
go to
what the Christians
church.
decided for it. Yeah,
Hmm.
and but there are a few locations where you can get Chick-fil-A on Sundays, and do you know where those locations are?
No.
In football stadiums across the
Ah,
country.
interesting.
Because guess what day football happens on?
Right.
Sundays.
Sundays.
And so if you really want some Chick-fil-A,
Go to a
at
football
a
game.
few stadiums across the country, they have in-house Chick-fil-A's where you can get Chick-fil-A on Sundays.
Interesting. Huh. Huh. Oh
Yeah,
well. Yeah, I don't need a Chick-fil-A. I mean,
yeah. Well, we are a household of vegans.
vegans. Yeah,
Yeah,
true. True. Wouldn't need
cancel
a
us.
Chick-fil-A anyway,
Yeah,
but
and I mean their fries are pretty good,
I stopped
but
eating a Chick-fil-A over all this stuff before
same,
I was a
same.
vegan.
Their fries aren't that good.
Right, exactly. Like the hate doesn't make things taste better.
yeah, every time I ate the fries, like this tastes like hatred. And
Right. Oh well. Like the other thing, like when you were talking about when we were talking about when you inevitably get canceled or something, I mean that's the other thing is like if you're a celebrity, you kind of have to walk under this shadow, like the specter of cancel culture.
oh
Like
yeah,
Chris Pratt comes to mind, where to my knowledge, he hasn't done anything to merit people wanting him, pulled out of Guardians of the Galaxy movies, all that kind of stuff. Like they don't want him to get cast in anything because and I did not look up the details on this because to my knowledge there weren't really. It's like the church he's a member of, has anti-LGBTQ beliefs, which is the norm, I think, in a Christian church. Um, like you and I were raised in a church that technically had anti-LGBTQ beliefs, the Methodist Church. They don't enforce those very much. And actually the Methodist Church is on about to schism and break in half into two new denominations over this issue. But it is kind of in the background of almost every Christian denomination. There are
right.
denominations that have said no, gay people are just like everybody else. They can get married like everybody else. They can serve as ministers like everyone else. But yeah, he's a member of a Christian church. Like he's a very outspoken, I am a Christian kind of guy. And unfortunately, and I blame the conservatives for this, there's conservative Jesus. Like
Right.
the values are the opposite of the teachings of the gospels. But that's I think what people are expecting from Chris Pratt. But he hasn't done any of that stuff. He hasn't done
To your
anything.
knowledge.
Yeah, but I guess there's a whole lot of people that really want him to. Like they just think, oh, he is an outspoken, I am a Christian and I go to church every Sunday. And so they're thinking, therefore, he must be a bigot, which is unfortunate because, we can point to how that opinion becomes common, like how Christians are being represented as bigots because of, politics.
Well, it's just like
The politicians who claim Christianity are using it, you know, they're using it in a very corrupt way. Whereas Chris Pratt just goes to church. He's not getting in anybody's business, telling, he's not boycotting abortion clinic or picketing abortion clinics. He's
he doesn't have
not.
time to. He's making
Nah,
millions of dollars from the
ex-
Marvel movies.
exactly, and that's all he's doing. Like he's minding his business. That doesn't confront me. Like I am not. I don't have a problem with anyone being a Christian and minding their own business. That's what I think we should all do regarding religion. We should all just mind our own business. If somebody asks you about your faith, feel free to expound. But
Yeah, no, June 28th, 2022, Chris Pratt clarifies views. Quote, I'm not a religious person.
interesting.
Quote, religion has been oppressive as fuck for a long time, Pratt says, and denies ever attending Hillsong Church.
Really?
Yeah.
And
And
that was when?
uh, June of this year,
Okay.
June 28th. Because, yeah, the big controversy, because I was just doing a little Googling, and the
Okay,
big
good for you.
controversy was over him apparently attending this Hillsong Church, which, according to the other article I was reading, allegedly has anti-LGBTQ and pro-conversion therapy views.
Oh, okay,
And so
okay.
that was the thing, is that people were saying that he attends this church, he must be anti-LGBTQ.
Uh-huh.
But like
Right.
Chris Pratt, I don't know if you know this or not, pretty big movie star right now.
Oh yeah, I heard something about that.
Yeah,
Hmm.
he's been in a couple movies, Jurassic World,
Jurassic World.
Marvel
Heck
movies,
yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy,
Uh-huh.
those small, independent films. that nobody cares about and aren't grossing billions of dollars across the world.
Right. No one's
Um,
ever heard of these movies.
so yeah, he's definitely at church every goddamn Sunday.
Right.
No pun intended. Because how could he be?
Yeah,
Like,
he's a little busy.
he's a little busy making millions of dollars. Like,
Uh-huh.
I'm sure he tithes 10%. Um, you know,
Well, I'm glad
uh,
you looked that up because that's kind of
yeah, no,
that's a
this is interesting.
specific.
Yeah, no, and
But people
I
were
just
hell bent on canceling the dude,
yeah,
and he
Pratt
hadn't
confirmed
done
to
anything.
Men's Health writer that he attends Zoe Church in Los Angeles, though not exclusively. Outlets have vaguely described the church as a Hillsong affiliate or Hillsong adjacent.
Ah,
The actor also noted he wept after getting backlash for praising his wife, Catherine, for giving birth to a healthy girl.
uh-huh.
How do you
Wait,
get
he got
backlash for
backlash
that?
for that? See, and that's taking something to an extreme. Like I am all about, and we're gonna
Oh,
do.
it's because his first wife, when his first child was born premature. That's
Oh,
such a
I
dig at his
see, I
ex-wife.
see. And that's definitely, probably, definitely not what he meant
Yeah,
when he said
definitely
that.
not.
He was in the moment.
He
He
was
wasn't
thinking
thinking
for
about.
a healthy child.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
not a dig at his ex-wife for bearing me a premature child. Like, he's not Henry VIII. Jesus
Right,
Christ.
right. He's not off with her head. Bear me an unhealthy child. I mean, you can be
And
premature and be healthy. I mean,
and yeah,
that's
and he said, and I'm like, that is so fucked up. My son is gonna read that one day. He's 9. Like, his premature son
uh-huh.
is 9 now.
Yeah.
And it's etched in digital stone. It really fucking bothered me, dude. I cried about it. I was like, I hate that these blessings in my life are, to the people close to me, a real burden. Like,
Hmm.
yeah, so that's the thing, is like, these celebrities, like, people just need
They're
social.
just
Dude,
people.
we have that as a topic? I think I put
Which
that as a
one?
topic. Social media. I had this in my head in the shower the other day.
I don't know if we
That's
have it
gonna be
for
a topic.
this
I'm
season, so
writing
to
it down.
speak.
Yeah, I'm writing it down now because I had the idea of
Good, good.
social media. Has it been an overall good or overall evil?
Right. Oh, good topic. Yeah,
Like,
that'll be a
yeah,
good one.
because social media has now taken Chris Pratt's life, and like, we take all these celebrities' life and lives and make it our business when
Yeah,
it's not our
yeah. They're
business.
just people living their lives. Can we let them? Can we mind our own business? Like,
Yeah, they get paid millions of dollars because that's what they deserve. That's
hmm.
like, because that's the thing, is
Well, the
we
movies make millions and billions of dollars. The
exactly
actors should be paid.
should be paid proportionately.
Exactly.
You
That's
know,
the
I'm
word I
not
was looking
gonna,
for.
yeah, I'm not going to, like, we pay $20 to see a movie.
Right.
We're one amongst maybe 70 to 150 people that went to see that movie that day, given it's a much anticipated film.
Hmm.
And then people do that every day. The movie makes millions of dollars.
Right.
I'm not going to say the actor is being a selfish capitalist because they expect the proportionate cut to their
Right.
involvement in the film.
Yeah, the
Same thing,
movie doesn't make Guardians of the Galaxy does not make money without Chris Pratt's performance
right?
as
And so,
Star-Lord.
in terms of canceling, people try to cancel the opinions of these human beings
Yeah.
based on how much money they make.
Hmm.
Like, we idealize and project onto these millionaires
Uh,
that their life should be perfect because they have millions of dollars. And how does the old saying go?
oh,
Money
right.
can't buy happiness.
Right. More money means more expensive problems.
Right. And a much higher tax bracket, mind you.
Hmm.
You
Well,
make $1 million, you're getting 500,000 of that from taxes,
well,
after
unless
taxes.
unless you can find all the loopholes and stuff to
Unless you
get,
go through all
and
the
that's a problem.
yeah, go through all the like but I highly doubt actors are doing too much of that.
Right. It's mostly big
They're big
corporations that
corporations
aren't
that are
paying a
taking
cent
advantage of
in
offshore,
taxes.
accounts and
Uh-huh.
outsourcing and all that good stuff that
Yeah. Yeah.
deserves a whole different topic. But
It does.
like athletes, you know,
Uh-huh.
athletes' opinions are canceled because
Uh-huh.
why should they
Oh,
have an
Colin
opinion?
Kaepernick.
Yeah. Oh,
Let's talk
canceled.
about taking a knee. Dude
Taking
didn't
a knee.
hurt anyone.
No. He made a direct attack on traditional American values.
Uh-huh. Right, right.
And
Whatever. Again,
God
it's
forbid a half
conservatives
black.
canceling
Yeah.
ideas and statements.
Yeah. And he hasn't been in the NFL in 9 years now.
Right. No one would take him after
No one would
that.
take him.
He got
And
canceled, and it was 100% unjust, in my opinion.
and
He,
he was going places.
yeah.
He was going places as an NFL quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Wikipedia even has him listed now. Colin Kaepernick is an American civil rights activist
Mm-hmm.
and football quarterback.
Uh-huh.
So, somebody on Wikipedia took it upon themselves to put civil rights activists in front of NFL quarterback.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know if Colin Kaepernick considers himself a civil rights activist or
Mm-hmm.
just someone who took a stand, or rather
Right.
took a
Well,
knee.
that's what an activist does. That's what an activist is. You don't have to be Martin Luther King Jr. to be a
Right,
civil rights activist.
right.
Um, you can be Colin Kaepernick and take a knee when you know it's going to piss people off. It's going to piss off um the nationalists, the the people who just
The people who watch football every Sunday.
right, right.
Yeah. Not everybody who watches football every Sunday is a bigoted
Right.
racist,
No, not at
but
all.
pretty
But
much every bigoted racist
watches football
watches
every
football every
Sunday.
Sunday.
Yeah, that's the truth. Or it
A
seems
rectangle is
to
not a
be.
square, but a square is a rectangle. Like,
Exactly.
you know, and yeah, because Colin, he could have been great. He
Right.
was great until he got canceled,
Hmm.
and that is somebody who effectively got canceled. And that's the whole thing is cancel culture can't beat capitalism.
Yeah. No, you're right. Good
And
point.
when we talk about art beats capitalism.
Hmm.
Like art wins over capitalism because people will listen to what you tell them not to listen to because they want to listen to it.
Yeah, all the
People will
banned books, people go
people
look
will
those
read them.
up.
People
Yeah,
will go look them up and they will read them solely because they were banned.
and even Chick-fil-A, who like I agree with the boycott,
Yeah.
but they made more money because they were being
So
boycotted
did
by the
so did J.K.
liberals.
Rowling.
So did J.K. Rowling. Yeah.
I looked at when I was looking up J.K. Rowling today. Her
Mhm.
book sales skyrocketed after her uh, anti trans tweet.
Mhm. So, sometimes a boycott or a cancellation actually backfires and does the
Any
exact
publicity is good
opposite of what you
publicity.
wanted it to do. Exactly.
Except in the NFL. The NFL is a special case because
Hmm.
NFL knows its constituency
Right.
and the teams know their constituency, and they are going to, the coaches will all tell you, the owners of the football teams will all tell you when nobody signed Colin Kaepernick. It was all because we just didn't think he was a good fit for our team.
Oh, right. That's like that makes me think,
That's just PR. That's just PR.
yeah,
It's all just PR.
it's
And
BS. And
yeah,
it's covering up they were making a racist decision, which it
yeah,
was a racist decision.
right.
The backlash was racism,
They did
plain and
not want
simple.
the smoke. But then
Hmm.
they'll sign but then like the Cleveland Browns will sign people like Deshaun Watson, who has a whopping like 50 plus allegations of sexual assault.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Oh
like
yeah, exactly. The people they'll sign, Like some of the things
Far
they've
exceed.
done. A
Yeah,
dude
far
took
exceed.
a knee.
That's literally all he
To,
did.
yeah, that's it.
You know, and to my knowledge, that's all he did. He may have made a few tweets.
Hmm. But still, he wasn't
He's
hurting anyone. He wasn't,
no, he wasn't sexually assaulting people.
yeah, he wasn't anti-America. He was saying, let's hold people accountable. Police brutality, that was the issue, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and police brutality should not be ignored. It's He was not wrong. He's just calling attention to a thing that needs attention called to it regularly.
Okay,
He
Deshaun Watson,
wasn't
24 women. As of
24 women,
24 women in the last 15 months as of October of this year.
and no one has a problem signing him.
And no one has signing him. Yeah, signing him, and then also signing him while he is on suspension. They can't
Uh-huh.
even use him in a game, and they
Oh my
still
god.
signed him for millions of dollars.
Uh-huh.
And granted, that's the justice system. Let them
Mm-hmm.
work it out. Yada
Right.
yada. As far as our justice system is concerned, he is innocent until proven guilty.
Right.
Not to participate in cancel culture where I just
True.
cancel him over the allegations.
Right, but you're making a
But
point about the caliber of these allegations versus the caliber
of
of,
the punishment.
yeah,
And Colin
and
has gone
that
to
versus taking
many, yeah, has gone to many tryouts. He's been to tryouts for
Mm-hmm.
tons of NFL teams in the past 6 years since he's been canceled.
Uh-huh.
He hasn't I don't think he's played since I think it's been he hasn't played since 2016.
Mm-hmm. God, that
2016. It's been
sucks.
7 years.
Like his
And now
whole
he's out and now
prime,
he's out of
man.
his prime. Yeah.
Yeah.
Still good. And he was on track to break records.
Yeah. Like they
And
would have
he
benefited from having him on their team. People could have booed him all day, and if he's,
winning.
winning games,
Mm-hmm.
they're gonna get over it.
Yeah.
I think they're gonna, because
Yeah. Let them get their first Super Bowl since freaking I don't know when the last time the 49ers got a Super Bowl. But see,
right.
they cut him. That's the thing. I don't know if they cut him or they just didn't re-sign him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah,
But yeah.
I'm not sure either. I want to say they just didn't re-sign him, but it was a while back. What, 7 years, you say? Gosh,
Yeah.
doesn't seem like that long ago.
President Donald Trump said
But
that NFL
bleh.
owners should
Oh, sorry.
fire players who protest during the national anthem. Kaepernick became a free agent after the season. So after the 2016 season. So he's been a free agent since the season end in 2017.
Uh-huh.
Remained unsigned.
Mm.
In 2017, he filed a grievance against the NFL and its owners, accusing them of colluding to keep him out of the league.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just a dummy suit because he's not going to win anything.
Right, but again, it's calling
withdrew.
attention to a thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's worth fighting a battle you can't win just to call attention to a thing.
Mm-hmm. Now, he did receive according to Wikipedia,
Mm-hmm.
a confidential settlement with the NFL after he withdrew the grievance.
Mm-hmm.
His protest received renewed attention in 2020 amid the George Floyd protests. But yeah, it's just that's actually an interesting point that I wasn't expecting to arrive at during this podcast. Was that cancel culture can't beat capitalism. There's not many things that can beat capitalism.
Right.
To my knowledge, there are literally nothing that can beat capitalism.
Yeah, especially if something is ingrained in culture, like
capitalism,
like capital. Well, I'm thinking like
consumerism,
like Disney or Coca-Cola.
Mm-hmm.
You can try to cancel them for whatever, just hypothetically. It's not going to work. They're not going to go away.
From a vegan standpoint, Coca-Cola is terrible.
Uh-huh.
They have several dairy products,
mm-hmm.
and they are some of the worst conditioned dairy farms. Like they get their milk from some of the worst conditions dairy farms in the country,
Hmm.
where the calves are ripped. The cows are artificially inseminated. The
Hmm.
calves are ripped right from their mothers and immediately sold to veal markets.
Uh-huh.
And then the cattle are milked until they are bone dry and then in a cage for their entire lives and then sold to the meat industry where they are then slaughtered.
Yeah.
So,
And we're all just like, I'd like to buy the world a Coke. And
yeah,
like
exactly.
just
Oh, this one has my
what,
name on it.
yeah,
Like,
exactly.
they
And like,
care about me, Matt, the consumer.
right, because there's your name
Yeah,
on a Coke. And Hershey basically uses child slaves
yeah,
to for
yeah.
their chocolate, like which they're
Cancel culture can't beat them.
slow. No, can't beat them because
We
people
can't
don't
beat
want
them.
to hear it. Like you
No,
try to
yeah,
bring this, you watch the documentary Food Inc.
yeah,
You learn all about the horrors of the meat industry. You see a cow with a hole cut in its side and somebody just putting food in there. Like
yeah.
this
And
monster
then you
cows.
turn
And
it off, and then you say, "Hey, babe, you hungry? Let's go get some
right, right.
McDonald's." And
Or if it does impact you and you try to share that film with others, they're like, no, I don't want to know how horrible
I don't want to know how
things
horrible my
are.
daily lifestyle is
Right. I
because
don't,
cancel culture cannot beat it.
yeah, I don't want to
Can't,
see what KFC is doing to chickens.
yeah, no,
Like,
don't want to see it. Yeah,
yeah,
and
that's why, because you don't, cancel culture can't beat capitalism. Very good point.
consumerism. Yeah,
Mhm.
it was not a point that I was expecting to arrive at during this conversation but that is something that I learned because throughout all this canceling, the did you have any other points
No,
on your list you want to get to?
we pretty much hit them all.
Because the only other things that I have are specific examples that we've more or less covered
Yeah, like I have specific
throughout.
examples that would just be redundant.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that's pretty much it for
So
cancel
yeah, if you
culture.
guys made it this far,
Hmm.
cancel culture can't beat capitalism,
Right.
but that doesn't mean we can't stop holding people accountable.
Exactly. We should continue, I
People,
think, to
absolutely.
boycott the people who are doing bad things.
Nothing is impossible.
Right.
Capitalism can be dismantled, and cancel culture is
Hmm.
not canceling things and holding things accountable is the only way it's ever going to happen.
Yeah, and never stopping. Well, and like that's kind of, you look at slavery, you want to talk capitalism and cancel culture. Like technically, like we weren't calling it cancel culture back then. It wasn't the norm, but slavery was canceled. Those plantation owners were canceled
They were,
when
yeah,
slavery was taken away. But it
cancel
didn't
culture
happen
won,
overnight. It took
but it took a war.
like it took like almost a century
It took
after the founding of,
600,000 people to die.
yeah, but eventually, because abolitionists never shut up, eventually they won
Yeah,
against capitalism, because capitalism was the thing keeping slavery in place. It was
yeah,
all about the economy, which is why they couldn't get the power to get rid of it. It was too big of a moneymaker for the southern states. But yeah, took 100 years almost, but the abolitionists did eventually win. So it is worth it to speak out against horrors being carried out by big companies.
yeah. Let's see.
Eventually, enough people will hear it, enough people will get it and be disgusted by it, and things will change. But so we shouldn't lose hope if we can't affect change overnight with a boycott against, say, Hobby Lobby that feels futile.
Right,
It's not.
right.
Gay people can get married now. Like it's a Hobby Lobby didn't stop that from happening, and neither did
Right.
Chick-fil-A.
We should we as people that are conscious and aware and um, forward thinking should not stop trying to hold current people and their current actions accountable,
Right. Take a
because
knee.
that's the only take a knee. That is the only way that we will continue to move forward as a society. That's something we didn't really touch on, is the this podcast. This episode has been a long one.
I'm surprised at how long this one's gone. I
Yeah.
didn't know that we'd have that much to say on it. Honestly, I thought it would be pretty
Well, we've discovered more as we
straightforward. I
went
know,
on.
and that's the great thing about it. But what were you about to
Autodidactica.
say? Yeah.
Basically, we haven't really touched too much upon the how do I put this?
I don't know.
Cancel culture, like when it gets it right, is I guess how
Okay.
I can put it. Like, we mentioned boycotting of J.K. Rowling and how it's overall ineffective.
Hmm.
It's not the way to go about it, because you and I, on a personal level, have talked several times about when you try to boycott J.K. Rowling's movies,
Right.
you're boycotting all of the people that work on those movies who aren't J.K. Rowling.
Right. She's only one person making a royalty off of that film. There are
Right.
hundreds and hundreds of people who work on a film
And
who are
statistics will
not
show that,
transphobic.
yeah, and statistics will show that most of them are not.
Uh-huh.
And a portion of them are
Right.
trans. They're LGBTQ.
Right. Right.
And when you boycott them, you're hurting them.
Right, because they're getting paid.
Right.
I mean, it's so nuanced. Everything is so nuanced.
Yeah,
And
we
it's
haven't
really hard
mentioned
to
too
say
much
black
about
and
like
white.
boycotting. The only example that I had written down would be The Mandalorian season 2.
Oh, yeah, this just came up at work. Someone had a pop figure of that
Gina
character,
Carano.
Carrello. Yeah.
Yeah, she got canceled effectively
Hmm.
for anti-Semitic Twitter posts,
Right.
and the studio said we will be replacing her.
Right.
I haven't seen The
And they had
Mandalorian
given
season
her,
2.
oh gosh, it's great. But
Feel free to go into detail. I'm not really too bent
Mhm.
out of shape about it, but I don't know if they killed her off or just
no, they didn't. Because it was, I guess, after it had
recast.
been filmed. And Disney had
She's
been
still in there. Okay.
Well, yeah, she could be. Like they didn't do anything. Like it was after season 2 had wrapped that all this went down. So like, and Disney had given her several warnings. It's not like they just suddenly did this because they didn't want to. They didn't want to fire an actress from arguably their most popular show on Disney Plus. She's a popular character. It's a popular series.
She plays the character well.
She plays the character so well. And I mean, yeah, but Disney is like, they don't want to have an anti-Semite as one of the lead
On their
actors
roster.
on their most prominent television or streaming series. So it makes sense to me, and they did give her warnings, and she did continue, and I think, I mean, what do you do in that situation? Like, to me, like, part of me wants to say separate the character, separate the art. Don't cast her in anything else, but she is that character. I don't know. But again, I get we don't want anti-Semitic actors representing
She's a
the company
character.
or representing Star Wars. Yeah, she isn't the protagonist. She is a supporting character. So that's what
I'm all
she could actually not come back in season 3, and it's just because they didn't bring her in. Like, it's not going to be like, well, where did she go?
The character still exists.
The character exists, and they can do whatever they want. They could even, if they allowed the actress to have a redemption arc, they could bring her back.
People get too attached to characters, to actors. That's one of the things that I hate about live action. Is people get so attached to the actor's portrayal of a character. And I'm a big anime buff, and that's one of the things I love about anime.
Yeah,
is the voice actors can change, but at least the drawing stays the same.
Right. Yeah.
and
There's a continuity of
there is a
a
continuity.
visual style there.
Yeah, like let me see, if I can type fast enough.
You can do it. I have faith in you. And you know, if anyone watching on YouTube, if you needed him to tell you he was an anime fan, when you see all the
Yeah, no,
glorious pictures behind him,
yeah,
you're
no,
clearly
Bill.
sleeping through
I
this.
don't know how to say his last name. Kemetz. Kometz.
Uh,
Billy Kometz died tragically last year.
mhm.
I think maybe this year. No, this year. And one of the dubbed animes, he's an English dub voice actor,
Mhm.
and he died tragically early this year. And he's been in several prominent roles. And yeah, you know, some of the things I watched of him, they had to replace him
Yeah.
mid-season, and it was tragic to hear the change.
Yeah.
But that's more because he died tragically. He wasn't canceled for being anti-Semite.
Mhm.
I would have been much more accepting of the change had it been
Right.
that.
Right.
But yeah, in the case of Gina Carano, it's just like, you know, change her character, change her actor. I don't
Right.
care.
Right.
It's the same character. As long as she does
Mhm.
well acting,
Yeah.
and I'm not an acting buff either. So I'm not going to be
Yeah.
too critical of any actor in
Mhm.
most scenarios anyway. But like in terms of, this isn't so much cancel culture as it is just on the topic.
Yeah.
What's his name? Henry Cavill is not
Oh yeah.
returning for season 3, or he's got season 3, and then he will be replaced as The
Of
Witcher
The Witcher.
for season 4 by Chris Hemsworth brother. What's his
Oh,
name?
other Hemsworth.
Other Hemsworth, Hunger
Yeah.
Games. Um,
Is it Leo? I want to say Leo. I
no,
don't
it's
know.
not.
I
It's
don't
not.
know. I don't know anything. I don't follow celebrities too much unless I can't avoid it.
Uh,
Um, but
place.
is but you're saying the Mandalorian one is
Yeah, Liam. Um,
a just
it's a just
cancellation. Yeah.
cancellation. Um, you
Right, because
know,
she's
it
she won't let go of the
she won't back
anti-Semitic
down.
tweets. Again,
Right,
Twitter.
right. She basically posted Hitler wasn't wrong.
God.
How do you expect not to get canceled?
Exactly. Like, what did she
Like,
expect?
how do you expect, like, and that's the thing about cancel culture, is like we should not stop calling out the obvious,
Yeah,
that this
exactly.
person should not be allowed to be in the public sphere.
Yeah, she doesn't get to play with Baby Yoda.
She does
She's
not
like,
get to play
Hitler
with Baby
wasn't
Yoda.
wrong.
She's like, Hitler wasn't wrong, and then expects to have a prominent role in a television show.
Yeah.
We are past that. We
Right.
know your
Right.
entire life because you told us.
Yeah, exactly. She did it to herself.
Back in the
If she just
1960s and
kept it to
70s,
herself, no one
we
would
no
know.
one would know.
Uh-huh.
But she took it upon herself to say out loud that Hitler wasn't wrong with an exclamation mark, and we're just supposed to be like, okay, she's a fucking weirdo.
Yeah.
And no, you said
No.
that, now you're being held accountable. And you're not a
Yeah.
comedian, so you're being held even more accountable.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah, exactly. Because you can't say I was just joking. You can't tell jokes anymore because of cancel culture. No, you're not a comedian. You're like a wrestler, which is
right, because
arguably
comedians
comedic
don't give a
sometimes.
fuck about cancel culture.
Yeah, they can't. They
They
have to
can't.
just go on and like I'm saying, just okay, I'm canceled. Moving on anyway. I'm
Yeah.
gonna keep doing what I
When I was
do.
reading about specific examples of who's been canceled recently,
Uh-huh.
several comedians came up for
Uh-huh.
less than tasteful jokes they've made.
Right. But that's their bread and butter. They make
That's their bread and butter.
tasteless jokes. And it's
And
not like
and
they're
then you
Al
know what they
Franken, who
do?
used to be a comedian and is now a senator, or was then a senator and did a tasteless thing.
And
It's
then they make a
they are
joke about being
jokes.
canceled.
Right,
And
right.
and it's just like,
Just pull it into the routine.
just pull it into the routine. Because be like, every joke you hear from me may be the last joke you ever hear from me. Because apparently I'm being canceled.
Yeah,
Hence why I'm on a Netflix special.
right.
And the only other one I have is very specific, but it's the most recent one I can think of, and there's a band called Flyleaf,
Oh yeah.
and they were big in the alternative scene, the 1021 The Edge in Dallas,
Yes.
alternative scene, and everybody knew that they were a Christian band.
Yeah.
Their lyrics often allude towards a Christian background.
Hmm.
Their lyrics are not specific oftentimes, at least as far as their hits. I never bought any of their CDs and listened to any
Yeah.
of their not hits to hear all of the perhaps Christian propaganda within them.
Right.
But as far as their hits are concerned, their lyrics were very wide stroke
Uh-huh.
and could apply to a number of situations. But their vocalist has apparently published memoirs that allude towards the fact that she has gone through conversion therapy.
Right.
And she went through conversion therapy and thanks God every day for the fact that she has been saved from her sin of homosexuality.
Ugh.
Is
Yeah, so
the
she's a proponent of conversion therapy.
she is in fact a proponent of conversion therapy, and so the
Hmm.
TLDR is that Flyleaf is now back. She's not been with the band since 2016, I
Uh-huh.
believe, if I remember correctly. And now with this modern revival of the quote unquote elder emo bands, ever since When We Were Young Fest this year,
Yeah.
there have been a number of fests popping up where they're reviving elder emo bands like
Uh-huh. Oh, right,
Flyleaf.
right.
And so there is now a new festival taking place, I believe, in Las Vegas, yet again. And Flyleaf is returning with this vocalist. And there's been as far as I can tell, a very small backlash
Hmm.
when, if we're a quote unquote woke generation, it
Yeah.
should be a much larger backlash. But again,
Uh-huh.
separating the art from the artist,
Right. People want to hear their song sung by the
yeah,
singer they
because
want to
it's
hear it from.
sung by the singer they want to hear it
Capitalism.
from. Capitalism. Those tickets are going to go for $200 to $300 a pop.
Uh-huh.
And granted, the band will make hardly any of that.
Oh yeah.
Well, I mean, let's just be
Yeah.
real here. Um, rock stars do not have it easy, no matter
Right.
how much you want to think they do.
Yeah, it's
They
hard to
they
make
seek other
money.
ventures in
Uh-huh.
order to make their money, like clothing lines based off of their brand as the vocalist of
Hmm.
Bring Me the Horizon or something like that. You know,
Yeah.
they have to make their bread and butter elsewhere.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, there's been a large outcry for the festival to cancel that band.
Right.
Um, then there's the band Skillet. I'm not too
I'm not
familiar with that
familiar with
band.
them. Yeah.
They are a new metal band.
Yeah.
They have a sound similar to like Limp Bizkit
Hmm.
and things of the early 2000s. Um, but they are an attributed uh, Christian band as well.
Uh-huh.
And I haven't looked too much into it, but they also have tons of like homophobic references in their songs and
Hmm.
things of that nature. But yeah, so you know, this episode was about to be over, then I brought this up. And
Right,
so,
right. We just keep going. It's all right.
but so to make it short is like we should absolutely not stop trying to hold people accountable
Yeah, I wanted to
for
reiterate that.
modern day actions,
Uh-huh.
like holding people accountable for things that happened in 2003. Sure, bring it up, you know.
Right. If it needs to be brought up, like if it hasn't been brought to the attention of the world, and if it isn't like if they've done stuff that contradicts a mistake they made in their younger days and spent a whole career supporting the people they hurt, then Does
And
he
we don't even
not
need to
let's
be
let
brought
it go?
up.
Exactly. Does it even
Are
need to be
we
brought
not
up? Because it
are we
isn't a
not seeking
present
attention?
problem. Yeah, exactly.
Are we not seeking attention by bringing up
Hmm.
that thing? That's the thing about social media is every little termite on social media wants to be an influencer.
Uh-huh.
And so they bring up we should cancel that person, and then it takes
Hmm.
traction. And whether they were the first or the quickest to
Right.
catch on to the wave of canceling.
Yeah, and that's what it seems like. Like people are looking for things. They're digging for things to get upset about. And that's why they dig into somebody's college stupidity from 40, 50 years ago in order to get something on them. It's not helping anything or anyone to try to cancel someone who is not presently a problem. And
In
when they did
short,
a thing, they weren't a problem either sometimes. Like they were a nobody in college, did blackface. Bad
yeah,
decision.
in
But
1974.
in the 1970s, I
Yeah.
mean,
Oh, there was that. I know
people
next
were
to nothing
not
about the
so woke.
specifics about this,
They
but there
didn't
was a
know. They
kid
were
in like 2006 or seven. It was in the pre 2010s.
yeah.
But this kid wanted to dress up as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
Hmm.
in like South Carolina,
Yeah.
and he was a white kid. And you know what
Oh.
he thought to do?
Oh, I'm scared.
He thought
What?
to paint his face black.
Oh, geez. Yeah, and that's where you go. That's where you.
And his ignorant ass parents didn't think anything of it.
Uh-huh.
And all he wanted to do was represent a person he thought to be his hero.
Mm-hmm.
And so he goes to school dressed up in blackface, like 9 years old.
9 years old. So he doesn't
And
know.
he doesn't know. And like he has gotten backlash now. Like, he's my age now.
Yeah, see, it's ridiculous to hold someone
And
who's pushing 30 accountable for a dumb thing they did when they were 9.
yeah, because he didn't know any better. He was like, Martin Luther King's black. I'm not. Let me, if I want
I
to
shall have to
dress up,
remedy that. Like,
I will
yeah.
have to remedy that by putting paint all over my
God.
face.
See, an adult we would hold harshly accountable for that sort of thing.
Right, and from the perspective of the parents, what the fuck do you do?
Yeah, some people are
Do
just
you
dumb.
well no, and like
But
even if it was my kid, he wants to dress up as Martin Luther King, and he's like, well, what if I paint my face black? How do I explain to a 9-year-old
mhm. Yeah, you have to
how
go into
you can't do that
right,
because society tells you can't.
right, because
Because
it
like
comes across as you're making fun of a race that
right.
if you were a white kid and you're at the top of the social racial food chain, so to speak, you're benefiting from a white supremacist society. Anything you do that it looks like you're making fun of, or you're cultural appropriation at the very least.
Yeah.
Whereas like a black person can do whiteface if that's a thing, and they aren't oppressing anyone. They aren't stealing. It's because they're the ones who are being oppressed by
Oppressed.
white people. Like white people are up here. If you're down here socially, as far as just the way it's laid out wrongly, it's wrongly laid out this way. But yeah, it's like it's not racist if a black person does whiteface. It's
Powders
just
their
it's
face.
just not
Yeah.
but you're white. You're the power dynamic. Like, yeah,
Yeah,
how do
yeah.
you explain that to a
To a
9-year-old?
9-year-old, like,
He's like, but
dude,
I don't mean
when I
I'm
was
not racist. It's like, yeah, but
when I was
the
9, I
society
knew.
is racist,
Yeah, I knew all
and you're
about this.
white.
Yeah, I knew I was whiter than most, but my mom told me I was Native American,
Hmm.
and like I stopped. All of y'all can see it. I am white as hell.
Yeah.
Like, I stopped really proclaiming myself as Native American despite being a quarter Native American
Uh-huh.
a long time
Right.
ago,
Mm-hmm.
because it just doesn't make any sense to me to claim it
Right.
when it's just a quarter of me. And then even my own tribe doesn't want me when they look at me.
Really?
And yeah, no, they don't. Dude, we had to fight for our rights.
Mm-hmm.
Like, my tribe has been very, very bigoted on the whole thing. Like, they give out money to their tribe members,
Oh
and
yeah. I
I'm
see.
Cheyenne Arapaho with a
Mm-hmm.
slash. The Cheyenne and Arapaho tribes merged with the marriage of my great grandmother and great grandfather, and
Yeah.
they formed the Cheyenne Arapaho tribe. My father was my great grandfather was Arapaho, and my great grandmother was Cheyenne, and they married and formed the
Mm-hmm.
Cheyenne Arapaho tribe. And so technically I'm a prince,
Right.
but
Blood of two chiefs.
yeah,
You're
exactly. And so, but like I'm white as hell because
hmm
despite my great grandmother and great grandfather's wishes, my grandmother married a white man,
right.
and they were none too pleased about that. And then my mother being half, married a white man,
Yeah.
making me a quarter.
hmm
And but then the tribe's elders decreed that I can only claim one tribe,
Oh, interesting.
making me an eighth of
Okay.
either tribe. And
That's
so I
interesting.
wasn't entitled to any benefits
Uh-huh.
under my own tribe. And so for as a sort of protest as well as
hmm
just being white as hell otherwise,
Yeah.
I just stopped claiming it. Yeah, on all
Well,
surveys
yeah.
and medical things and all that. I used to My mom told me you're Native American. So I always
hmm
claimed that. But I stopped doing it
Yeah.
because
Well, because it doesn't make sense because
it
you
doesn't
are
make
clearly
sense.
benefiting
Yeah.
from being white in a
Yeah.
white supremacist society, whether you want to or not.
Yeah.
You're Native
Nobody would know.
American, like that's kind of like my thinking. Like my family is from Choctaw, Mississippi, Choctaw, and they have one of the strictest blood quantum requirements in of any tribe. Like you can't be less than 50%. You can't be 49% Choctaw and be a member of the tribe. I agree with that. Um, I mean, the last person in my family to set foot on a reservation was my grandmother. It's, we aren't Native Americans. We're white. We're benefiting from being white. It would be wrong to petition for membership in the tribe from my
That's why
perspective,
I don't.
because then
Yeah.
you're taking things away from people who need them. You don't need them.
Absolutely.
You are white. Your ancestors were Native American.
The capitalist in me wants to just accept the free money that
Right.
comes from my tribe because
Uh-huh.
my mom has been trying to get me for years because they revised it. I
Uh-huh.
am now viewed as a quarter, which is the bare minimum
Mm-hmm.
that you can subscribe to the tribe's like monetary
Ah,
benefits
okay.
program.
Uh-huh.
My mom has been on my case for literal years now to get on top of that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, it's exactly like you said. Like, if I do that, I'm taking away from the people that actually need this.
Right. And it's ethically weird. It's not
It's
because I
weird
mean it's
because I don't go to powwows.
uh-huh.
I don't participate in the tribe affairs at all. Hell, I don't even go to the casinos that fund this whole operation.
Uh-huh.
Like, I'm literally not funneling anything into this. And so I am not going to claim it.
See, I mean, I feel like this is all we're going into a totally
Yeah,
new
tangent.
topic, but like, cancel culture, like Elizabeth Warren, Senator Elizabeth Warren, who I love and respect, claimed Native American. Look at Elizabeth Warren. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah. And
So it's
she
like
did
my grandmother on my father's side.
right. She is a white woman, but she got in hot water over that. Like there was a DNA test that didn't show anything, which doesn't mean anything. Like, you take the standard DNA tests that they give you, the spit tests, and it only tracks like a very small percentage, like maybe a quarter of your actual DNA. Do a blood test, you get it all. But it didn't show any Native Americans. So then the conservatives are like, she lied. And her whole family is like, no, that's our family history. We know we have Native American ancestry. But that's the thing. Now you're white. Like you have
Right.
Native American ancestry, but now you are white. You are Elizabeth Warren white. You are very white.
I've rarely heard a name more white
And then
than
Elizabeth
Elizabeth
Warren.
Warren.
Right. And I love Elizabeth
That is an
Warren.
English
No.
first name, and as far as I know, a German last name.
Right.
And yeah,
But
I
they
mean, how's
tried to
my name?
cancel her
Yeah,
over that.
yeah.
Um,
Glenn Slade Clark does not sound very Native
no,
American.
not at all.
Matthew
Matthew
Winslow,
Paul.
yeah, Matthew
Matthew Winslow
Winslow
Paul.
Paul, not very Native
Oh,
American.
he must be Cheyenne Arapaho with a name like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. No, my great grandfather was named Black Kettle,
Right.
and
And you're Matthew Winslow
and I'm
Paul.
Matthew Winslow Paul. I think he might be a little disappointed.
Yeah. Yeah. Like yeah, my grandma's grandma didn't even have a family name. Like that
Yeah, they
was
gotta give
until
him
she
one.
married. Like she married
Yeah,
into a family name, but she didn't have a family name. Like yeah, it's weird. But yeah, we're white people. That's a totally different topic. Totally different
hmm
topic. I think we've done cancel culture is what we're
we've
saying.
done cancel culture. We're 2 hours into this episode now.
Wow. Yeah, it's after midnight. It's, oh my gosh, it's almost 1. Am I looking at that correctly?
You
It's
are looking that correctly.
okay, so I got to get up
Glenn
and
Slade Clark Jr. needs to go to bed.
yes, Glenn Slade Clark Jr. needs to get in his Native American TV.
So yeah, this is
With
Debbie
Elizabeth
did cancel
Warren.
culture,
Debbie
and
did cancel culture. I guess she did, and so did we. All right. Well, if you like this episode, well, if you're still here, clearly you like this episode. Thank you.
thank you.
Um, but show your support if you will by liking, subscribing if you're on YouTube, whatever, wherever you're listening to this podcast, subscribe. Um, you know, give us comments. If you're on YouTube, you can comment down below. Otherwise, you can email us at autodidacticapodcast@gmail.com. Give us topic ideas, give us corrections. We love to stand corrected because it makes us smarter moving forward. Don't hold back. If you hated it, let us know. If you loved it, let us know. If you want to stalk us otherwise on social media, Matt's in a band, My Perfect End. You can find them everywhere. They've got a YouTube. They're everywhere you can download music.
Yep.
You can find all of my other stuff, my novels, my other YouTube channel on my website, glensladeclarkjr.com. And yeah, feel free to stalk us online, not in person. And and we will appreciate that. We promise not to cancel you unless you try to stalk us in person.
Yep.
And yeah, unless we get canceled for this episode, we'll be back next week with artificial intelligence. Will be
Jesus
our
Christ.
will be our topic. And yeah, we're
I'm
gonna
gonna play
talk.
through all of Mass Effect again to get a good idea of this. Ton of
Right.
that in there.
Yeah.
Uh,
So yeah, I'll have a
mm,
lot to say on that
yeah.
one.
Mm.
But yeah, for now, this has been Autodidactica. I have been and continue to be Glenn Clark.
I will and always will be Matt Paul.
And we'll see you next time.
See you next time.